Hi, my name is Rebecca Powers with SLCT, and here is what's happening in Sterling and Lancaster. The Animal Control Commission in Lancaster is seeking new members. The commission meets once a month with the Animal Control Officer to evaluate animal control problems. For more information, contact Mary Beth Eugene at 978-365-5672. The Thayer Memorial Library is accepting donations of diapers for the Lancaster Junior Girl Scout Troop 30737. Donations will help provide diapers to the area families in need. Lancaster Firefighters Association will be offering its annual Christmas tree pickup and removal program. For more information, call 978-368-4003 or email sgranger@lancasterfd.net.
Hard to believe that the holiday season is already upon us again. And of course, we're looking to our wonderful Sterling Police Department, who in conjunction with the U.S. Marine Corps is once again offering Toys for Tots, a wonderful opportunity for the community to give toys to kids that need them. I'm here with one of our coordinators of the program, Detective David Johnson. Thank you so much for
coming
joining
and highlighting
me.
our program.
And
Thank
yes,
you.
and I'll tell you now, you've been doing this for 25 years.
It's now my 25th year with the police department, and every year it seems to be growing, and the demand is there also, so we appreciate you putting this out for us.
Now, tell me the kinds of toys that you're looking for.
We're looking for all kinds of toys. We get a lot of donations for toys for younger children. We're always looking for children's toys in the 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old age.
So a little bit more for the older kids.
Well, for the older kids would be nice, yes.
Yeah. And now, how do people do this? I mean, what kinds of toys do they get? It's new toys, right?
New unwrapped toys.
Unwrapped.
And we also will take check donations written out to the Toys for Tots program.
All right. And where can that be dropped off?
They can be dropped off here at the police department 24 hours a day. We have a box in the lobby, and we also they can give the check to dispatch, and we have an envelope. We place that in, and we turn it over to the Marine Corps on the 12th of December.
All right. So now, is that the cutoff date? How long can people be doing this?
We ask them that we have them here by the 12th. We will take donations right up till Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a need for toys.
Now, then once the 12th comes and you've got all this, and I know that in the past you've had a lot of toys come in, then what happens? How do you start to distribute them?
We bring them to a warehouse in the city where the Marine Corps meets us.
In the city of Worcester?
In the city of Worcester, and then they get distributed by the Marine Corps to different charitable organizations and individuals that need those toys.
This must be very gratifying for you.
It is. I have young children, and I know how they appreciate getting a toy on Christmas, and I hate to see a child that would wake up without one.
Of course. And it's a wonderful way for people to contribute something of the Christmas spirit to other families who maybe have a little bit less.
It's always good to give, especially this time of year.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, David, for doing this once again. And so remember, bring your Toys for Tots to the Sterling Police Department. 24/7 the lobby is open, and there's a nice box outside. It's marked clearly Toys for Tots, new unwrapped gifts for any age group, but especially for that older set, maybe kids 10, 11, 12. Thank you for contributing, and thank you so much
Thank
for
you
being
again
with me
for
again,
highlighting
David.
us. Thank you.
I'm Lex Thomas, editor of Sterling Meeting House News. Since 2012, the Neighbor to Neighbor program in Sterling has helped approximately 40 individuals or families to meet expenses and obligations that would otherwise have been very difficult for them to do. I'm here today with Pat Fox. He is the new community representative for Neighbor to Neighbor. Welcome.
Thank you. It's
Thank
nice
you for
to talk
speaking
with you,
with me.
Lex. Thank you very much for having me.
Now, first of all, just tell me a little bit about what Neighbor to Neighbor is.
Neighbor Fund was set up, as I think you mentioned, in 2012 as a result of a generous donation from two citizens of Sterling, Kevin and Marilyn Beaupre. And it was designed to assist individuals and families in Sterling who find themselves dealing with serious or difficult economic circumstances. And the intent of the fund is to help those individuals and families deal with those issues on a temporary basis until they can get themselves back on their feet.
Now, what kinds of expenses are we looking at here?
The idea behind the fund is to provide assistance to those individuals and families who find themselves in these difficult circumstances with essential living costs. The fund is not intended to serve as a long-term means of support for any individual or family. It's designed basically to help people get through a temporary crisis situation. So the kinds of expenses that we'd be talking about that would be supported by the fund would be essential living expenses, such as electricity, heat, perhaps groceries, real estate tax bills, things of that sort. Basic essential living expenses that people have to deal with.
Sure. Now, what is the cap on this? What is the amount?
Yeah.
Involved
When the fund was started, there were certain guidelines put in place that remain in effect today, and those guidelines provide, for example, that any one grant of assistance cannot exceed $1,200. The guidelines further provide that no individual or recipient can receive assistance from the fund more than twice in a lifetime, so that therefore the maximum amount that any individual or family could receive lifetime would be $2,400. There's a further restriction that no recipient could receive any assistance within 6 months. In other words, if an application was filed today and allowed or granted, that individual or that family would have to wait at least 6 months before making a second application. And those are the guidelines that were put in place initially. They could be changed if the committee administering the fund decides to do so, but at present, those are the guidelines and the restrictions that would apply.
Now, I'd like to talk about two aspects of this here. There is the recipients and there are the donors. Now, insofar as recipients, how can people apply for this? How can you get involved?
If a person wishes to apply for assistance, there are applications available at the office of the Executive Assistant to the Board of Selectmen, who is Kama Jane. Many people in town know of her.
Of course, sir. And she's in the Butterick building.
She's
yes.
in the Butterick building, in the Town Hall building. She has applications available that people could obtain in person. It's also possible to obtain an application electronically. There is through the town website, there is a link to the Neighbor to Neighbor Fund. And if people go on that website, they can hit that link and pull up an application and prepare the application and then file it with the executive assistant at the Butterick building. And my function as community representative would be to retrieve those applications and conduct an investigation of the circumstances and then make recommendations to the committee, which is charged with the responsibility of administering the fund.
Now, is there any deadline on this, or is this just ongoing?
This is ongoing. There's no deadline. There's no limitation in that sense. An applicant can make application at any time when he or she feels the need to do so.
Now, once an application is filed, can you give me some idea of how long it takes to go through the process?
Well, it's difficult to say. Assuming, for example, an application was filed today and I received that application, as I think I mentioned, I would contact the applicant. First of all, I would review the information that was submitted. We have noted on our application that it's essential that the applicant, in addition to filling out the application, furnish a letter or a statement outlining his or her circumstances and the need for assistance. And we also ask on the application that the applicant provide some evidence of the circumstances that gives rise to the application. That might be outstanding bills, for example. They could be electricity bills, they could be tax bills, or some other, they could be medical bills. That's another area where the fund could provide assistance. So all of that information, hopefully, would be supplied with the application. It'd be the community representative's responsibility to review that information and meet with the applicant. We think that's essential. We don't want to act just on a written application. So we meet with the applicant and discuss the circumstances with that individual or that family. And as I said, then it would be my role as community representative to bring that information back to the committee, which consists of 3 people at present. And then a determination would be made. Under the guidelines that we follow at present, the decision to provide assistance would have to be unanimous. In other words, it would not be the result of a 2-to-1 vote, for example. The reason behind that is that we feel that if the circumstances are not compelling enough to convince the 3 people on the committee, then we would choose not to provide assistance.
Now, as you said, this is privately funded by
Yes.
the Beaupreys. And now, so how do other donors, anybody that would be interested in getting involved in this, is there a tax deductible aspect to this, and how does one get
Yeah.
involved on that
Yes,
side?
one of the changes that's occurred this year as a result of some recommendations from the Board of Selectmen is we have involved the Wheat organization in Clinton, which is an agency connected with the United Way in the area. And they are what is known as a 501c3 corporation, meaning that they can receive donations that are tax deductible. In the past, when the fund existed, people could donate to the fund, but they didn't have the opportunity to claim a tax deduction. Now, because we have designated Wheat as our fiscal agent, people who donate to the fund or contribute to the fund can legitimately claim a tax deduction. The monies that were received from donations are transmitted to Wheat. They hold them in an account for under the designation of Sterling Neighbor to Neighbor, and that money is available. And then, if the committee chooses to approve a particular application, we will notify Wheat, and they will issue payment to the vendor involved. Another point that should be mentioned is that if an award is granted, if the committee decides to assist someone, money is not paid directly to the applicant. Money would be paid to a vendor of the applicant. For example, if there's a light bill that's due that we decide to help with, it could be paid to the light department. It could be paid to the town if the money is being used for real estate taxes. Mm-hmm. It could be paid to an insurance company for an insurance bill. Medical bills, I mentioned, are also a possibility. So we determined, actually it was determined before I became involved, that money would not be, if awarded, would not be paid to the applicant. It would be paid to a vendor of the applicant. Again, hopefully to address essential living expenses and help somebody get through a difficult period in their lives.
Of course.
Yeah.
And, you know, this isn't only for people that want to donate a sizable amount, but we can all help in a small way, but a significant way through a program through Sterling Light called the Roundup Program.
Yes.
And that's something I know that I've participated in. And tell me a
As
little
do
bit about
I.
that.
That's a very helpful part or aspect of the whole program. And with the assistance and the full cooperation of the Municipal Light Department, ratepayers, which is certainly most of us, I believe, if I have the numbers correct, there's close to 3,800 ratepayers in Sterling. A ratepayer can choose, and it's strictly voluntary, to agree to have his or her bill, electric bill, rounded up, so to speak. In other words, if someone had a bill that was $50.50, they can agree to round it up to $51. That money is pooled and then on a monthly basis sent to the Neighbor to Neighbor Fund to add to the amount of the fund. And it doesn't seem like a lot in an individual case, and in fact, in any individual case, an individual ratepayer with one account would not pay more than $12 per year as part of this Roundup program.
Sure.
But when you add all of those roundups in the aggregate, it can make a difference. Right now, there are about 400 ratepayers who participate in the Roundup program, which, given the number of ratepayers, is really less than 10%, just under 10%. It does make a difference. The fund is able to realize about $200 per month because of the Roundup program. but we would certainly encourage people in town who are ratepayers to consider participating in that. It is not, as I mentioned, a particularly excessive financial burden for any one individual.
Sure.
But when you combine all of those monies, it can make a difference. So that's an exciting part of the whole fund operation, and we'd love to encourage people in town who are ratepayers, and that certainly applies to most of us, to consider participating in the Roundup program.
Well, thank you so much, Pat, for taking this on. As always, you're always involved in something to
Well, I'm not
to
so sure
help
about that,
our
but thank
to
you.
help our community.
Thank you.
And so that's the Neighbor to Neighbor program. You can find out about it at the town website, and we will be featuring an article on this in Sterling Meeting House News in our December 21st issue. Thank you so much, Pat, for being here.
Thank you, Lex, for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Just a reminder that winter parking bans are in effect in Sterling and Lancaster. Residents are reminded not to park their cars on the street where they will interfere with snow removal. The Bigelow Public Library will be holding their Tuesday book group December 13th at 6 p.m. Attendees will be discussing The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. For more information, call the library at 978-365-4160. There will be a mixed media collage design workshop on December 12th at 6 p.m. in the Thayer Memorial Library. In this craft workshop, you will learn how to turn scrap items into one-of-a-kind gifts. Registration is required. For more information, call 978-368-8928, extension 4. I'm Rebecca Powers, and that's what's happening. If you have a local event you'd like to see on this program, contact SLCT. SLCT is looking for more volunteers to help with filming and editing. If you know someone interested, have them contact us at 978-733-1139 or email slc.tv810@gmail.com. We'd like to remind you to find us on Facebook and YouTube.